Well, hello everyone, and welcome to my studio. My name is Krista Eaton, and I'll be your teacher for the day. So today I'm putting out, I'm painting these beautiful snapdragons and sunflowers, and I'm going to be using the Catalyst Wedge tool, which if any of you have been following my journey, this January I started painting with this. I normally paint more realistic, and I try really hard to kind of paint like a impressionistic style, but this year I really wanted to try something new, so I started using this tool to paint with, and I've been having so much fun moving the paint around and just exploring new ways of applying the paint using the Catalyst Wedge and some larger brushes. So I'm going to also be trying out a new brush today that I just got in from Amazon, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm really inspired by sunflowers, so I hope you are too. And so let's just paint. And thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe if you enjoy watching my videos. Anyways, thank you so much. Okay, so to begin with, I am going to use this big brush that I got, and I'm just going to block in some of the underpaint. And some of the colors I like to start off with, I like to use some of this transparent iron oxide yellow and a little bit of sap green, just to get a nice kind of greeny gold wash sort of. And then I'm just going to look at kind of where the sunflowers are and just kind of put in some of those greens where I know, they're kind of on the outside parameters of where those flowers are. And you can always paint your background color in later, so you don't have to worry if you can add different colors. I like to add different colors as well. Just keep blocking in, in the beginning, it's just getting rid of that white canvas is a really big help for me. This wasn't really nailed in there. The joys of the struggle of getting things set up. And then it gets really interesting if you paint in a different location. You don't really know what the setup's like, and then you got to paint, and you want to paint something great, but then you have all these different things kind of happening when you go and try to paint somewhere else. I use some of that transparent oxide yellow and just sort of block in the sunflower, and the sunflowers kind of going off the page. And you can even, sometimes what's even better is I like to use my Viva paper towel and sort of do a little bit of a paper towel wipe out to kind of see where everything's going. Because I want to have room for those pink flowers, so I'll kind of wipe away where I think those pink flowers are going to go too. And when you're looking at what you want to capture in your painting, make sure this is when you kind of want to make sure you got all the room for it and everything. So I always look at things, like maybe I really want to capture the stem and that negative shape that's in there, so I'll make sure to leave a little bit of space there. And for that stem, I think stems are like, when you're thinking of like technical art terms, it's like a bit of composition. You know, you've got these round shapes, you're gonna have all these nice loose shapes with the pink flowers, and then you could consider those your lines. You know, some of those things are just some things that I like to kind of make sure I get in there. And then I'm just kind of making sure. So right now when I'm doing this, I'm not really accomplishing a lot, except for I'm getting my kind of the right side of my brain warmed up, if you know what I mean. You're just sort of getting a feel for where everything is going. So although it doesn't look like I did much there, I'm warming up my brain. And that takes a lot of warming up. So I'm just gonna wipe, I'm just kind of wiping off my palette right now. So far, that's all I have on there. I've got out some ultramarine blue, transparent iron oxide black or indigo black, some gray and parchment color that are just those Liquitex, the Liquitex Basics, this brand here. Those are like $5.99 a tube at Michael's. And that's what I try to use for these to save on the paint. And this is just your cad yellow, deep, medium, and light. And that's burnt sienna and some primary red and this really nice magenta color, just in case. All right, so now I'm going to start using my spatula tool. Sorry, it's hard for me to talk and paint. And I'm going to put in, I want to put in the center, so I'll just use some of that burnt sienna for now, but I want to put in the center of the sunflower, just because once you know where the center is, it's easier to kind of know the direction of like where you're going with the petals and whatnot. So I'm just gonna put that in there, and then I'm gonna put some of that darker, that burnt sienna in there as well, so that when I add my yellow, it's gonna mix in really well. And then I'm gonna do that with this sunflower over here. Just kind of mark off some of that color there. Now I'll grab some of that cadmium yellow deep, and you can see I'm gonna add some of that burnt sienna right into it, so I get a nice warm starting layer, kind of warm. So I'm going to mix some of that up, and just going to go and block in quickly some of that. And this is a great way to simplify your shapes by just laying it in there nice and simple. And that's just some cad yellow deep at this point that I've got going here. And then I'm gonna go and block in, just clean off that area on my palette. Use up the rest of that yellow that's on my brush there. Okay, now I'm going to clean off my brush because I don't want that mixing with the pink too much. Okay, now I'm going to grab some of that primary red, and I'll add a little bit of that magenta color just to kind of darken it a little. And same thing, I'm just gonna kind of block in those kind of abstract shapes of those flowers, and I can cut into where the sunflower is. I love cutting into the flower, it gives such a nice painterly effect. Like that. I can always later go back over top of it. And same here, I'm gonna just sort of put in some of those shapes. I really love the way the paint just kind of glides on. And I'm gonna just kind of drag that color down. Even though in the reference photo you don't really see that too much down there, I'm gonna pop in some of that pink just really loosely and make a mark that's kind of cool, just sort of drag some of that paint down like that. And then we've got one over here. Same thing, I'm gonna use a little bit of that magenta color. So for the flowers, I'm using the quinacridone magenta and primary red Liquitex Basics. And I'm just gonna pop that in there. And I just love the effects of like the texture of this painting. When you're actually doing it, you'll see it just leaves kind of waves. There's almost like a wave effect. And then there's a flower that kind of comes in front of this flower, so I'm just gonna kind of put in that for now. I'm just gonna feel there's also one stem of those flowers coming, kind of comes around behind this flower, but I'm just gonna put it in front. More drama there. We need more drama. Okay, so you can see just for kind of an effect, I'll throw in a little, I could throw in a little pink up here too, just to kind of balance out the color and the composition. All right, so now I'm going to keep blocking in. I want to add a little bit of that green. So to start off, I'll just use a little sap green. And this is also one of those oh, actually this is, sorry, don't want to misguide you. This is Amsterdam Standard Series sap green. Oh, it is sap green. It's just so different from another one I had. So that's also one of the less expensive paints for doing these. And here's that stem. I really kind of wanted to show that. I don't know why, I really want to show some of those shapes. So same with this one, I'm gonna get the back of that flower in there, smush it in there, and get the stem. So I'm gonna kind of load my spatula like that and sort of just use the edge of it for now to make the mark for that. And then I can go and I'm adding a little bit of the Cad Yellow Deep to that sap green, and I want to block in some of those snapdragon stems. I really start to lose my ability to talk while I'm painting, but you know what I mean. I'm just going to add some of that in there, and like this one has some of the little snapdragon kind of buds that start to show up at the end. I'll just add a few of those. Just really loosely, we're going for loose and just an inferring things. We're not going for exact, so I'm just gonna pop a few of those in there. And then this flower comes over the stem, or under the stem in the photo, but I'm gonna just put it over and have it kind of drooping down a bit more. Exaggerate the snapdragon kind of bending down. And I'm just kind of mixing a little bit of that parchment color in there and a little more yellow, just to up the value a little. And I'll add some of that. And I'll do the same here. I'm just going to add a little more. You just have to be patient with yourself. If you haven't tried this, you know, I'm trying to kind of hurry along when I do a video like this, so I'm not, you know, dragging this on for hours. But if you're making your marks, just take your time to feel. I like to use the corner a bit for those sort of snapdragon, like the shape of these little buds. And not every mark goes on the way you like it, and that's just the way it is, you know. And so I'll put in a few up here, and then there's a bunch of that green. But I feel like you have to really be expressive and just sort of let it go. And then there's some bits of the stem kind of coming through. So I'm gonna I'll load my brush for that, like kind of shovel the paint up a little, and then I'll get a nice stem-like shape. And the paint's really thick on that sunflower, so I might have to come back to add a bit of light green to it, but it's kind of working. Just get a little bit more of that light yellow and add some more green there. So we've pretty much got everything blocked in. I'll add a little green coming up to that sunflower. I want it to be more abstract this time. So I'm gonna just put some of those leaves in there. Also, store-bought sunflowers, for some reason, they don't have the leaves, so I'm just gonna kind of drag some of that green down really abstractly, and make a really abstract leaf. And that's really the way I would do it with a paintbrush, is kind of push down and twirl. So I'd pull down and kind of lift off. And another reason I like using that greeny gold underpaint is then any greens you miss, it's kind of like filled in for you, and you don't have to worry too much. And I'll put a little green at the top there, because later we're going to put on some more sunflower there, and and that'll make sense. And put in some stem-like shapes and stuff going on in here. Okay, so I really like the blocking so far. I'm just gonna clean my brush and make sure my palette's clean for the next part. The cad yellow medium, and I'm gonna just kind of add some nice bright strokes to that. And I really don't mind, you know, that underpaint kind of melting into it. If you're doing this at home and following along, you could let your first layer dry so you don't have the green, you know, mixing in like I'm getting some streakage kind of coming in here. But it's all part of the looseness, you know. You're getting that abstract flower coming at you. I really love the lines and how it mixes in. That's a little, sort of a little, you know, happy accident right there. Getting some of that red mixing in there. If you get too much green, just wipe your spatula off so you don't have your paint you don't want your paint to get too mucky. But I really love this combo. It's just giving my it's giving my brain a really happy sensation right now doing this. It's like art therapy. And I'm gonna now well, I still want to add some more highlight to this one here. Look at that. You just have to get that corner of your spatula all loaded up there and make that nice big juicy brush stroke. Whew. Really starting to enjoy the the spatula painting. Look at that. You can add that highlight there. So it's so simple because I used these tubes of paint, straight up light, and then I got the deep, and I got the Liquitex Basic medium. So those three are like three separate values I've got right here. So it really breaks it down for you, really simple for the sunflower. And I struggled with sunflowers for so long because I couldn't understand that I had to build, it sounds funny now, but I just couldn't understand I had to build it from dark to light like that. And for some reason, I couldn't find anyone that could just tell me why I was having trouble doing it. And finally, one instructor taught us values, and once I could understand that you kind of have to build like dark to light, or if you're a watercolor painter, you would be the opposite, you go light to dark, but you got to always think. And if you're a graphic designer, you've got the best of everything because you have to kind of do that all the time. So let me know in the comments you know what flowers you struggle with, and we can figure them out together. So, okay, now I'm going to add some highlights to the pink. So I'm just going to get some of that primary red, which makes a really pretty pink. never used this color before until I had to start using cheaper paint because I was applying it with this tool. And I would have used quinacridone red, which you can use too, but this makes a really, really pretty pink as well. I'm just going to spray my paint because it's dry. And okay, now I'm going to make some snapdragon-y type highlights here, just kind of get the top of those. And I'm looking at the way those things have these little kind of lips to them almost. And it's looking really snapdragon-y. Just don't want to get too much green in there. And just kind of keep that kind of flow of like the snapdragon effect there, and then I can go and get more of that red and some more white like this, and just mix up a little bit of a lighter value, sort of like we did with the sunflowers, just kind of 1, 2, 3 step. As you get used to mixing color, then you can start mixing colors within the same value to even get a richer and more, you know, more detail with the different colors. But for now, I'm just going to keep it nice and simple. Okay, so for now I really like that. The snapdragons came out pretty good. Now I want to go and add a little bit of a lighter snapdragon green. You know, I'm going to add some, I want to get that real vibrant lime green. So I'm adding sap green and that cad yellow light and white, and I'm getting this really beautiful lime green. So I'm going to go ahead and add some highlights now to these snapdragons. So now you can see how beautiful the pink and that kind of that green go together. And just sort of get those in there. And I've ordered up some less expensive oil paint, so I can try this out eventually with my oil paint. So you can, if you've subscribed to my channel, then you'll get notifications when I go and do more videos. Okay, so now we got all that. We got everything kind of blocked in there. Now you can go back and, you know, you don't, if you're using your spatula to do most of the painting, that's great. You get the whole effect, but you can also get a large brush that you don't have as much control with either and kind of finish things up too. Like, you know, you could put the sunflower detail in a bit. Just sort of get the center in a bit darker. And then I'll go back and mix up, I'm going to mix up a little bit of ultramarine blue and that magenta color, quinacridone magenta, and put a little bit of that in the center there. And I want to add some of those dark bluey purples in other places in the composition, because it will just vibrate the color with the all the pinks. So I put in a little bit of that just to make it kind of stand out. So now you can decide what you want to do for the background, and I feel like with, whoopsies, I'm dropping paint tubes everywhere. I feel like with the way it's so bright and everything, I'm gonna go with sort of, I put out this gray color straight out of the tube, and I'm gonna just sort of block in some random gray brush strokes. But you could do turquoise or, you know, white. Just depends on what kind of style you're going for. I kind of just want to put in these. And I've got this color called parchment. I can add a little bit of that into the gray to lighten it up. Just another color from the Liquitex Basics. And believe me, I'm not getting paid to advertise. I'm just trying to help you out here, because it's a cheaper paint than golden, and I would have only said use golden because I was aiming for a different result, but now I'm using this stuff because it's a lot easier on the wallet. So I am gonna leave those greens. I always like to add light and dark. I don't like backgrounds just to be totally, you know, one color, so I'll add some light grays in there too. And I can get a little bit of that lighter parchment color, and I kind of put in that negative shape so that pops out there where I wanted it to. And just kind of randomly put in a few spots where you want the background to kind of come through a bit. It's just another way of getting more abstraction in there. Okay, so I don't want to ruin this the way it looks. I feel if I overdo the you know, tweaking the background and stuff, I might overdo it. So I'm just going to leave it like that, and I hope that you give this a try. I had a lot of fun painting this. So here it is, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this lesson as much as I did. Just want to show you close up some of those brush strokes there, all that thick paint, and I hope that you give this a try and you don't think I'm too crazy. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And thank you so much for watching me and all your encouraging comments. I really appreciate it a lot. And happy painting.